Marble Race fans, to another great, exciting episode of the Great Marble Race. This week we're doing what we're going to call the Curves Extreme. Marbles will be released into a course. They will be set up in pairs, and they will both advance down the course on two separate courses, coming together at a half pipe at the end. Time will be based upon the time that the last marble of the tandem crosses the finish line, with the addition of the difference between the time of the first and the second marble. So this race here is crucial not only for the speed of the second marble, but also you want to make sure that the speed of the first marble is not so much faster that the differential on that dismount is going to actually hurt your score. Also, another factor that will be played into this is the fact that if both marbles are not able to finish the course, whether they leave the course or for some reason they get stuck on the course, it's going to be an automatic 30-second result on that particular run. During the test runs, we're seeing that these races are running about 20 to 23 seconds each, so 30 seconds will be what is assessed to the team if they are unable to complete the course. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Let's jump into this week's event with the seeding to figure out who's going to be the first marble to be able to take off and get started. The marbles are all set, two separate tracks. Off they go and around. Everybody seems to be holding their own, trying to figure out. They don't know if they want to be the first or the last. It looks like Lemoney's going to take that dive to be the first. So is it a blessing or is it a curse to be the first or the last? I guess we'll find out later today. And there you go. Everybody's made the run. Looks like Lemoney's first, Emerald, Bob. And there's the official running order. Crystal, Fireball, Midnight, Snowflake, Galaxy, Stormy, and Thunder's going to take the last place. Race number 1 for Lemony. And there they go, running off in pairs. They're kind of closing up the gap a little. We don't know if that's going to be a good trade-off or not. First one takes the drop. The second one's kind of holding off a little bit, but that's okay. They seem to be running pretty well in tandem. Since this is the first race, we really don't know what to expect. They had the good tap-off there. One's at a 19.5, and the other one was at a 20-point low. Race number 2 for Lemony. These two seem like they're holding it more equally distanced apart, working their way to that hole. And we get a 1-2 drop. They are, once again, they're running more in tandem with each other, the way that probably should be. The first one's already down there. Have a good bump off, but the second one is hesitating on his drop. He ends up with a 22 compared to almost a 19 on the other. 3-second difference. That could come back to haunt him a little bit in the long run. We'll find out. Race number 3. Once again, they're kind of holding a little bit of distance against each other in that top funnel. Seems to be working off. The second one has separated himself a little bit from the first. Maybe that's a planned event thing. They have a good contact down there in the half pipe. They have excellent contact coming out of that with only a .07 between them for a 65.01 combined score. And that puts them in first place. I don't know if that's a good thing or not, since they're the only ones that have run so far. Now we're into Emerald, race number 1. And they're off. Emerald's holding pretty even across. The one's made a dive for it. The second one's following suit. They're hovering around the exit point. First one's down into his curls. Second one still hasn't come out. Here he comes down. First one's already down to the half pipe. He's waiting. Second one finally makes it down there. And they're doing a lot of loving and hugging. And the first one didn't even drop to 22.39. The second one was right behind him, so the difference is going to be a benefit to him. The next two are off. They have a close gap coming around. We don't know if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. First one's down into the queues. Second one's down. There's quite a bit of distance established between the two. They didn't have a good puncture point, but they both come across pretty close to each other. They're both in the 22s, so That should be about a 23, maybe a 24 run. Last run for Emerald. They seem like they're holding their distance in the funnel. Both working on the exit point. They both come out of the exit point, probably about where you should be. Probably a good second in between the two. It's enough to separate you. What we've learned is that what you want to do is when you get down to that half pipe, you want to have it set up. So we have a 21.30 and a 23. There you go, a 71.59. Two 24s did not help Emerald, so they're currently in second place out of two runners. Now we're back to Bob. Currently in second place in the league standings. But as we were saying down there at the bottom, is that you kind of want to work it out so that when you have the connection that's going to slow you down, that the marbles are coming against each other. That way they're both taking away that kinetic energy from each other. You don't want it so that both marbles are moving, just like Bob just did. They're both moving the same direction when they finally made contact. That does not help reducing that kinetic energy that's rolling. If anything, you can actually hurt your score by continuing the motion on that. You want to utilize that half pipe as a slowdown point. So, now we have Bob, race number 2. His first marble is way out ahead of the second one. Is that going to be a benefit or is that going to be a curse? We'll find out. Good stop on the kinetic. They were both going opposite directions. Talk about what we just saw and what we were just talking about the kinetic energy factor. They came across with less than a second in between the two. That's going to be great for their differential score. Third race. They can put a little bit of a distance in there. They're not in a great tandem setup. First one's all the way down to the half pipe. The second one's coming in the second set of cues. Good bump on the kinetic energy. Good dismount for both of them. Less than a second. So difference 0.37, 0.29, 0.20. Excellent difference scores. He ends up with a total of 64.35. It's going to catapult him into first place by a full second over Lemony. Now we have Crystal. Crystal, another one of the ones that's having a great season so far, up there high in the standings. Let's see if she can continue to run a good series. Down out of the first cues, the first marble is considerably ahead of the others. She's already down the half pipe and waiting for the second one. They have a good dismount together with only a 0.12 in between the two. But it was in the 21 second range, so it will remain in the 21s, maybe a low 22. We'll see how judging and scoring plan that one out. Let's give a big old hello to Thea the Wonder Dog singing in the background on the beanbag chair there. One of our 3 mascots that we now have. Crystal running in a pretty good tandem coming down through the cues. First one hits the half pipe, good connection at the crossbar there for a 30-second differential. One's in the 19, the other was a 20. I'm sorry, that was a 1.3 second differential. Race number 3 for Crystal. They're holding good tandem in that top part there, not too close together. You really don't want to be close at all, really, until you get down to the very end. Then you want to try to work that collision impact at the end to slow your momentum both on them. Just like Crystal did in this one. Have a great dismount with one with a 12.56 and a 21.09. Sorry, that was a 20.56. 64.40. That is giving them a second place behind Bob. So good race for them so far. So we're going to reiterate something that we have talked about before. We'll talk about it again. On the timing count, you'll notice that the timer ends at the 0.60 mark and resets. The reason for that is the timer is based upon frames per second that we utilize to record the races, and there are 60 frames per second in the recording. Fireball comes down here, has an 1817 and 1836. So that's going to be an outstanding first run for Fireball. Can they hold it up? Race number 2 will tell us. Anyway, so with that in mind, when we factor in the scoring, we automatically make that adjustment. We understand here at T&D Marble that when you talk about portions of a second, that there actually is 1/100ths of a second. We don't have the technology at this time to sit there and factor that out. Second race for Firestorm had a 20.48 and a 21. Another excellent run for Fireball. Can they have 3 excellent runs and put them high into the standings? Let us find out. They are off, holding good tandem through the funnel. Have a good dismount out of that funnel. They're almost in complete tandem coming down through the cues, just like it should be. It's perfect run so far. Down to the crossbar, and they hit. And they took so much energy away, they couldn't even make it out. That's going to be a 30-second penalty. What would have been an outstanding score for them turns out to be a 71.19. But they are still better than Emerald, who's currently holding 5th. Fireball is now in 4th place out of 5 runners. Race number 1 for Midnight. Midnight is another one of those marble teams that's been struggling through the season. Let's go ahead and give them a little bit of a positive boost here. Maybe they can medal today, we hope. So the teams that have not medaled, as a refresher, is going to be Midnight, Lemony, and Snowflake. None of them 3 have medaled as up to this point. Down here at the crossbar, Midnight, first one dropped off. The second one is hanging around out there forever, and it was almost a 6-second differential between. That's going to be a bad score for Midnight. That is not going to help their chances at medaling this week. We can really hope that maybe they can turn this around. I really like that Midnight color. It's slick, it's smooth, it's my old school colors. First one's already down to that crossbar. Second one comes down, they have a good hit. Once again, not great on the dismount, but they're only a 1-second differential, so that isn't going to be too bad on the pain against them. Third run, can they make a comeback off of that first one? The first one is really going to hurt them bad. They're running almost side by side in that top funnel. We haven't decided if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I can't see it being a good thing. The first one's already down through the first set of cues before the second one even hits. He's all the way down to the crossbar. Here comes the second one. They have the impact. We have a 20.46 and a 20.40, so a .06 differential. But because of the first 2, they end up with a 72.00 for a last place. 6 out of 6 teams. This is not going to be good for Midnight. Alright, now let's go over to Snowflake. Can Snowflake turn their season around? Dead last in our standings right now. This is another one of my favorite colored teams. Something about that white. I'm from the northern tier states. It's snow. I just love them. But Snowflake has been struggling this year, and it just really breaks my heart. And the first race here doesn't look that great for them either. They have poor impact down there, but they both run across in the 21s, so they're going to end up with a 22 in that first race. Not a great score, but I mean, we've seen worse. The second race is off. They are running more in the tandem through the top portion there. They close up that gap a little bit going into the exit, which inevitably down at the exit you're going to be close together. I mean, there's no way around it. Alright, coming down, they have their impact down there. One's coming across at 19.52, the other one's at a 21.10. So we're looking at a mid-22 or low 22s again. So, not too bad, not great. A decent race here. We'll put them right in the middle of the race grouping. Let's see how they go. This race is so fast that even just a mere second here and a second there can have a significant impact in your standings. They're down there. Man, look at that. 18.26 and 18.56. That was almost the near perfect run. A 64.05 combined score puts them in first place, ahead of Bob at 64.35. Could this be it for Snowflake? Are they finally going to break into the medals? Now we have Galaxy up. Galaxy, another marble that just kind of hang around middle of the pack. Not having a great season, but not having a bad season. they got quite a bit of distance going on down here. That first one's going to hit that crossbar there at 15 seconds. The second one gets down there. So we have an 18:56 and a 20:35. And here they go. Race number 2. Working down through that Q course. Not a lot of distance between them. Maybe they landed up right. They had a good knockoff there. Knocked out that kinetic energy at 22.3 and a 23.6. That's going to be a pretty good run. That's going to be a high 20, maybe a low 21. Third race. Holding in good tandem on the top funnel there. They're coming too close together at the exit. Can they work it out to the benefit of each other? And actually, they curse each other and they hold each other out. They stop in that top funnel. That's going to be a 30-second penalty. That takes them to 72.30. Let's see how they sit. Now they're bottom of the list. Good news for Snowflake. Snowflake has guaranteed himself at minimum of a bronze. So we finally have Snowflake is going to earn a medal. Let's give them all a big cheer. We're happy for them. And maybe this is the point where they turn their season around. We can only watch and see. 6 more events. Now we have Stormy already into the funnel. They're working their way down. They got a good little distance in between the two, but not too much. Can they work it to their favor? The first one's hitting the crossbar at 18, but they had a bad connection down there. They actually benefit each other, but they slowed down. We have a 22.11, 22.19. They're going to end up with a mid-22 number for their first race. Second race, they're off. The first one's closing up that gap between the second one. Once again, we haven't figured out if that's going to be a curse or a blessing yet, but they're falling more in tandem at the exit point. First one's into the Qs. Second one's into the Qs. About the right distance. What we're seeing seems to work best. First one's down to the half pipe. Second one does not have that good contact point, so we end up with a 20.23 and a 23.12. Race number 3 for Stormy. Race number 3 is off and going. They're holding pretty good tandem, but they're closing up that gap. They make the drop. First one's in the Q. Second one's coming in the Q. There's a little bit of a distance between them. Oh, let's say hi to our second mascot here. That's Fuzzy Wuzzy, the Wonder Hedgehog. He's been watching the finish every race so far, making sure that everybody finishes correct. Stormy ends up with a 69.04. That's going to be good enough to give him 5th place. It guarantees Bob is now going to be at least a bronze. It's guaranteeing Snowflake is going to get a gold, or get a silver, sorry about that. With Thunder being the only team left to run. They're not holding good tandem throughout the funnels. They're both quick into the upper part of the Q course, almost running simultaneously. Let's see if they work that to their advantage. They end up with an 18.09 and a 19.06. That is an excellent start. That's going to be right around the 20. Let's see if they can keep it up for race number 2. Race number 2 is off, running. They're working around. They get that first drop, second one right behind them. Almost the same format they were running in the first race. It worked out great for them then. Can they do it again? Oh, and they stop each other at the dismount point on the crossbar. That's going to be a 30 for them. That is definitely going to hurt their score. Almost is guaranteed to eliminate them out of medal contention. It's going to put them in the bottom half of the standings. But let's see if they can turn it around and at least get themselves somewhere into the middle of the group. Third race is off. And they're coming down. They're already into the Qs. They're running almost in complete tandem with each other. First one hits that crossbar. Second one has a good bump off of him. But that first one is sticking in that crossbar. And he's running time up. He runs an extra 6 seconds on the clock. The differential is going to kill him. 5-second differential. 28.39 for 78.42. He's in dead last. 6 seconds into last place. There is our current standings for the event. Snowflake's taking the gold. It's bumping Snowflake up into 5th place. A jump of 5 places. Bob is jumping up to 1st place. Fireball with his performance is going to 2nd place. Thunder drops to 3rd place. And you can see the rest of the standings right there. So, from all of us at T&D Marble Entertainment, we want to thank you for watching. Remember to be safe out there, and remember that marbles have feelings too, and treat all marbles with respect.